Hello and welcome to another episode of the Devlogs or Runes of Aereal. Okay, what happened this week? Well, this week some things happened, but not too much. Let's see what I did. Let me just take anything here. First thing I would like to say is that we have now a blade cards and a turns indicator. Here at the right hand side, turn 1, now it's the first turn, 0 cards played, and I can play some kind of card, and we see here end cards, 1 card's played. Enemy turn. Now we have it off.
Your turn.
Okay, and now it's turn 2. So these things, what happens here is we're going to see here in the event sheet. Only thing that happens here is there's a turn info label. That label is on the layout, and the only thing I do here when the turn is 0, I just display nothing. So mumbo jumbo appears there, and if it's 1 or above, of course, then we say turn is the turn and new line, and then cosplay is somebody cosplay. So that's pretty simple. Now another thing that happens here, as I can demonstrate it in the sandbox, another thing that happened is the strong functionality has been set. So let's give in 5 strong. So let's go. So we see here that this exclamation here, this icon appears here, and we also see that I've done something like ×2, because when an enemy is strong, it will deal double the damage. So that's 6 × 2. Let's do that.
You were defeated.
I'm defeated, so that's not very well, is it? So let me demonstrate. My health will be 50 by 50, and I will do something like defend here. So defend, so it gets strong. So the enemies are more likely to cast a spell and also get strong inside the game. So let's do that now. So I can demonstrate what happens here. So here we are. Now at least those 3 are going to cast a spell. Let's see.
Enemy turn.
Strong. There we are. So that's what happened there. So first thing I did is I went into the AI here and I tweaked the line a little bit. That the probability of the spells is going to be 1000 for strong, so I can debug it pretty well. So that's what happened there. Then I made an exclamation tween. So the exclamation tween is here in the messages. So that's what we made here. The exclamation here for a certain enemy. I'm going to do a certain text, and I'm going to be doing it synchronous or asynchronous. So what happens is this exclamation is created. It's like let's say a text. We set the text and we set the Z elevation a little bit, and then we tween it, the opacity from 0 towards 0 in 1 single second. That means that if we do pass synchronous here, that means that we're waiting for it to complete until the message is fully gone. And if it's not synchronous, it's asynchronous, then the message can appear and then execution can continue whether the exclamation is coming yes or no. So we're going to use that at several places, and this exclamation, whenever the synchronous is true here, whenever it's 1, it's doing exclamation sync as a tag, or async as a tag. And here when a sync is finished, we set to 0. So that's the way we determine how the synchronicity works here. So here also what we did is we set the strong here, show exclamation strong. We play the sound for strong. We implemented here a strong sound. That's the song sound, of course. We update enemy HUD, and that's it. So I've said here, execution is set after exclamation. So it's a synchronous call. So there's a 1 being passed here. So that for this thing here, we also updated the enemy HUD here. So if it's strong, we set the state for HUD, which state strong, of course. And we also need to decrease the strong on the end of the turn. That's also something we do here at the end of the turn. Probably here somewhere. If the enemy is strong, then we set the strong to strong -1. So that's basically what we did. Then this week we also did some fragile work to set an enemy fragile. Now setting the enemy fragile actually is something that's done by the player. You can cast the spell so the enemy becomes fragile. But what we didn't have up until now is support for that in Sandbox. So I added this fragile controls here, so we can implement this as being someone which is 5 fragile from the beginning. Actually. So the controls, I added the controls here, and the controls, where are they? Here, and I call them CDE 1 fragile, CDE 2 fragile, and stuff like that. And of course I have the CDE fragiles here also for setting up the things here. Whenever we start the layout, I set them up here as well, and I also added the combat definition here in the combat definition, where this combat definition is being constructed to start the game. It's also adding fragile there, of course. And of course I also added a configuration for this here in the combat definition. For example, I believe there's some enemy being fragile here. I don't know where it is. Fragile. Nope, apparently not. But I can add that here. For example, draw and say fragile 5. So now when we play random 1, this should become fragile. See, so that's also something that happened. And of course, in the function to spawn an enemy here, we also did some good functions. Here we also set fragile starting from the combat definition here. This is also done here whenever we spawn an enemy we get from the current combat definition, which was set in the sandbox. And we set it to the number of fragile we set it in the sandbox. So that's basically also it. Let me just see what the effect is here. So we entered 5 here. We can start the game. And of course I won't have too much cards right now because I didn't have a card definition. But here you can see the fragile. Current fragile attacks do double damage. So that is what happened this week. I hope you liked it. As always, please like, please subscribe, and if you want the full code for the game, please support me on my Patreon page. Bye bye.